A patchy frost as we see some of the coolest temperatures of the season tonight. We're on your side with how long we're expecting this cold snap to stick around.
And with La Nina conditions expected soon, we're talking about the type of weather we can expect.
Plus, Wes, we're talking to an expert on how you can prepare your home for these cooler temperatures as we head deeper into the season.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And Tania back with us here for Weather Extra. Tania, I don't know what it is, but you start talking about cool weather, I feel a chill.
No, me too.
Yeah.
You step outside, it's in
Right.
the building, it's everywhere now. How are you feeling about these colder temperatures?
Well, you know, it's here. I know we were talking about some warm afternoons. I mentioned this. I was in Ohatchee over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed how cooler it was there. And I got to admit, I was a little underprepared because we had some chilly nights. I was there for a wedding. And looks like the temperatures at night in some of these outlying areas may be cold enough to where we could see some frost tonight.
Hey, listen, I say be prepared for anything and bring out the sweater jacket tomorrow morning, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, dust off the jackets for tomorrow morning. Going to have a cold start early in the day, but we do have the weather extra on this dry weather. This is actually day number 17 without a drop of rain in our area. It's been 31 days since we measured over 1 inch of rain in a single day, and the way it looks right now, likely no rain through next week. But keep this in mind, October, it's typically our driest month of the year. I often say, you know, if we head into October with very little rain, well, October really doesn't help us out there in the rain too often. However, if you do need to plan a birthday party or a wedding or gathering, this is always the month, I always say, and that's why I guess we have so many festivals, right, for the weekends. But Centerville, a live look. I was just trying to adjust the camera because we're getting close to that point this evening where we can see the Comet Atlas A3, and you've got to look to the west there right after sunset time to catch this thing because it drops over the horizon, the western horizon, throughout the evening. But we still have a little while. It's still kind of light out there. Needs to go a little darker. And what a view. This is a live camera view over Nectar. Look at that sky, just absolutely incredible out there. You know, we've had some incredible sunset views around the state, and I do think the dry weather is going to stick around, so we'll continue to see more of these nice evenings. But with it being so dry, that's one of the factors why we're seeing these big drop-offs in temperatures. Now, it is a little windy out there in some spots. We have a breeze out of the north, so that could help protect us from a heavy frost, but I would protect the plants tonight just to be safe. Early tomorrow morning, those lows down into the mid to upper 30s. We're still right now feeling okay with those 60s out there, but we're down to 55 in Coleman. It's dropping quickly, so you'll need that jacket if you're heading out tonight. Low temperatures, you can see their readings down into the 30s for the early mornings, but one of the next big things, we could be talking about some warmer afternoon temperatures. Looking ahead to next week, those highs right around 81, 82 degrees. But we have a lot of good information coming up as we prepare for cooler days, cooler weather, already getting that first surge of cold air. Actually, this is some of the coldest weather that we have received since the month of April, as temperatures will drop into the 30s. But just a friendly reminder, we go from those summertime settings to the wintertime settings on your ceiling fan. You know, you have the little switch on there where you can adjust between counterclockwise and clockwise. Well, in the winter, or at least when it's cold outside, you want to flip that around to the clockwise setting. That allows for some of that warmer air to be pushed closer to the floor surface in your home, so really help out. But we're going to talk a lot more about winter preps and for the colder weather that's ahead. But right now, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us with an in-depth explanation on the science behind frost formation.
Well, we had a strong cold front move through, and that's bringing us some cooler air. And of course, there's potential we could see some frost perhaps by Wednesday and Thursday morning. But let's talk about frost, how it all forms. Well, we have this thing called radiational cooling, where of course you get sunshine during the afternoon hours. Temperatures warm up into the 60s or 70s. Well, when you have a clear sky and a light wind and then it becomes nighttime, some of that radiation that was absorbed from the day escapes from the ground and escapes into the air, and it allows it to cool pretty fast. And it usually happens when you have a clear sky and a light wind. If you got a lot of wind blowing around or you got some cloud cover, it kind of limits that surface cooling. So let's talk about that. So we're going to see that with dry air in place, we're going to see some cooler nights. But what about dew? You got to have some kind of moisture to create frost. Well, the setup, you have the sun once again heating up the surface once again. And so air above the surface at grassy surfaces are in the mid to upper 60s in the afternoon hours. But hypothetically, as we cool down overnight, notice what happens. Air just above the surface drops pretty close to the temperature of where moisture starts to form. And you get that heat rises just above the surface, and that's where you start to collect a little bit of dew. So it's cooling forces the moisture onto the ground, and that liquid water forms in above freezing temperatures. So sometimes in the morning hours, you'll notice the grass might be a little damp or wet, and it hasn't even rained. That's what's going on. So you got that watery, wet surface on the grass, and then if it gets even cold enough, you might start to get some frosty conditions. So you may actually have the air temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, but the surface is cooling off a little bit faster, and you might get a little bit of that frost on those surfaces. So this definitely impacts grassy surfaces versus, let's say, asphalt or pavement. So here you go. Dark pavement, of course, absorbs more heat. Temperatures in the 70s in the afternoon hours. And then when it's nighttime and that cooling happens, it takes a little longer for the pavement to cool down. So usually when we get that potential for frost with temperatures in the 30s, it only cools down into the 40s. No issues there. But on those grassy surfaces, plants, they might start forming a little bit of frost, and that could cause some issues for those plants. So always a good idea when there is a frost potential and you're concerned about some of your plants, either cover them up, bring them inside, and that should do the trick, especially as we go into Wednesday and Thursday morning. So good idea to cover them up, bring them inside Tuesday evening, and again on Wednesday evening. And of course, don't forget about your pets. Make sure they go inside so they can stay warm as well.
All right, Matt. Well, the Climate Prediction Center, CPC, is expecting La Nina conditions. These are changes in water temperatures over the equatorial Pacific, and that can shift the weather patterns across North America. And typically when we go to a La Nina phase, that's expected to develop by next month. This can bring more rain to other parts of the country. We often see a lot of dry weather in a La Nina phase along the west coast. It really enhances those dry conditions, but also can really drive some of those temperature extremes. Sometimes we'll see a warmer than average pattern typically through the winter, which the past couple of winter seasons, I mean, we've had a couple of big cold snaps, but then we've had some warmer than average conditions. But typically, though, even though, we're talking La Nina conditions and the possibility of some warmer than average conditions temperature-wise, you still have those big drop-offs at times. There still can be cold snaps, and there still can be snowy weather, Tania.
Well, thanks, Wes. We're going to take our friends across the country, the state of Florida, continuing the cleanup process after the landfall of Hurricane Milton. But a shortage of gas and power outages are making those efforts a little harder. Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Sarasota seeing the most gas shortages, as about 50% of gas stations have no fuel as of yesterday afternoon, according to Gas Buddy. And even though linemen have restored service to more than 90% of homes and businesses across the state, still thousands remain in the dark. This is down from a peak of nearly 3 million people originally without power from that system. But help continues to pour into the state through various businesses, and Beds Express is working to help those impacted by recent hurricanes. They're accepting a number of items to be donated for hurricane relief, and this includes, take a look at your screen, canned goods, bottled water, blankets, diapers, and paper products. You can drop them off at any Beds Express location. And a reminder, the city of Birmingham is still holding its relief drive for victims of Hurricane Helene. Some of the items they still need include garden rakes, batteries, feminine hygiene products, cleaning products, and heavy-duty garbage bags. You can donate items to the Christian Service Mission tomorrow from 7:30 in the morning until 4 p.m. Well, coming up in 30 seconds, we talk to and about the upcoming low temperatures. Plus, we're going to talk to an expert how we can protect our homes in the event of cold weather. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Okay, where am I looking? You?
Yes. Yeah. You a quick mic check.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello.
Count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, and he will be on when you take him. It'll be on camera 3, right?
All right, everyone, it's time for weather not every 6. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. Here's a look, though, at those overnight low temperatures down in the 30s and 40s for many of us. A first alert for the possibility of some patchy frost in those low-lying areas, those higher elevated areas if you are on a mountain, but also areas north central Alabama are expecting those coolest temperatures. So you also have that greatest chance to see some frost. As you can see here across central Alabama, though, we're not under any advisories or freeze warnings. But as I take you across the nation, it's a different story. I mean, look at Kansas, freeze warning in effect for them. We also have frost advisories in effect for parts of Indiana and down to Kentucky. And then as we take you closer to the West Coast, Nevada is dealing with a freeze watch. Can you believe it? So we're not the only ones dealing with a cold snap. There's other areas across the country that will likely be seeing some colder temperatures than we are here. Wes?
Here it comes, a colder weather, and I was telling my wife the other night, I was like, okay, we got to adjust all the thermostats. You know, it's time to start making those preparations. So, hey, we brought in the expert today. We have Carrie Atkins from On Time Services, and appreciate you spending some time with us here on Weather Extra. But now that the cold weather is arriving, a lot of things we need to do around the house, right, to make plans and prepare for the cold.
Yep. So the biggest thing is most people will be turning on their furnaces, their heaters for the first time. And so they haven't ran all summer. And so there's some things that we need to do to make sure that it's ready to perform efficiently and safely. The biggest thing that we see is cracks or damage to the heat exchanger in the furnace. And so why that's important is because of carbon monoxide. If there are cracks in the heat exchanger, then some of that carbon monoxide is going to not go out through the vent stack, but it will come in through your heating and cooling system. You can't smell it, you can't see it, you can't taste it, but it can do a lot of negative things to you from a health standpoint. So super important to make sure that the heat exchanger is sound and intact. The other thing that we see is there are exhaust flues going off of your furnace, typically out through the attic and out through the roof. And so sometimes birds build nests in them, squirrels get in them, things get in there that clog up that exhaust flue, and so that will trap carbon monoxide also.
Wow. So we need to certainly make sure we have those carbon monoxide detectors, some fresh batteries, and have those things nearby. I have seen, like on hot water heaters, you know, you'll see that ventilation and you'll see those nearby.
Right.
Would you suggest also, you know, kind of while you're doing that, maybe check like ventilation for like dryers, you know, the lint ventilation, those areas?
Yeah, if you're going to get a professional out to check those things, you know, a certified HVAC contractor, they can check the flue on your water heater, your furnace, they can check your dryer venting, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that that's appropriate and proper. The other thing that a lot of people are going to notice when you turn on the heat for the first time, there'll be a little bit of a smell there. Okay, that doesn't necessarily indicate that there's a problem with it. Right. It just, that heat exchanger has been sitting there and it hadn't been heated up all summer, and it gathers a little bit of dust. And when you heat it up for the first time, that'll kind of burn off. That should dissipate pretty rapidly. If it doesn't, you need to have a professional check it.
Okay, we actually kicked the heat on last night for the first time.
Yep.
So, and I didn't quite smell. I know what you're talking about. Right. I smelled that before. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about you know, plumbing and pipe protection. I know we're not necessarily expecting freezing temperatures just yet, but just kind of thinking ahead, some things we can do around the house with respect to preparing the pipes for the cold. Yeah.
Well, you know, when it gets super cold, below freezing and stays there for several days, that's when we're going to start having issues with pipes freezing.
Right.
And so what you want to be aware of is any pipes that are on the exterior of your house or in an unconditioned area of your house that aren't insulated. So if your house has a crawl space, there are several vent holes in the crawl space, and so you'll get airflow through there. If you have a plumbing pipe running very close to one of those foundation vents that's uninsulated and it gets really cold and stays cold, that's an area where it can freeze. So if you have pipes of that in those areas, go ahead and insulate those pipes. Like, it doesn't hurt anything to go ahead and do it now. Outdoor faucets, hose bibs, stuff like that. Any pipes inside of a cabinet on an exterior wall, when it gets super cold, you can just open the cabinet, let some of the heated air from the inside get inside the cabinet. It can help mitigate that.
And certainly want to practice safe heating measures, right? The space heaters, got to watch those things. And Just make sure you pay close attention. As Carrie mentioned, ventilation. That is something we all need to be thinking about. With that carbon monoxide danger you have with those systems. But how can we reach you guys? And if we need to reach you, if we have any additional questions.
Right. So you can go to our website, ontime59.com. Super easy. Or you can give us a call, 205-942-1405. Either way, we can set you up with an appointment, get one of our certified HVAC technicians out there, make sure your system is functioning efficiently and safely.
All right, and on time, right?
And on time.
And on time. All right, good deal. All right, Carrie, thank you so much. And we'll see you back here after the break. We're going to be talking about that extended forecast and more on the cold weather and the legend of the persimmon seed. You probably know about this one. We'll explain right here on Weather Extra. All right, we got the Weather Extra here on some colder weather tonight. A live look from Bluff Park Diner. It's 60 degrees already. It's dropping quickly. And notice the wind here. We've got this breeze. Looks like it's actually picked up a bit from the north. We're getting another little surge of this cooler air dropping in. The wind's going to really help limit a heavy frost tonight. But those sheltered valleys certainly could be some frost on the wind chill early tomorrow morning. Look at these temperatures out there. Cold start. 38 for us here in Gadsden, 39 in Talladega. Pell City showing some upper 30s. I think north of Tuscaloosa, you get into places like New Lexington, Samantha, out here around Northside. Yeah, we'll see some 30s out there around Lake Tuscaloosa tomorrow morning as well. Hamilton, Hackleburg, Winfield, Double Springs, all of our friends there, and Jasper as well. Crank up the heat tonight. It is going to be a cold one, but here's what to expect for tomorrow after that cold start. The afternoon, well, we of course see a nice improvement, but it's not a major improvement. I mean, we still have low 60s, certainly one of the cooler days, even with sunshine factored Lord. And it is now we're entering that second phase of fall, right? We're starting to see more of these colder snaps starting to happen. The wind speed also tomorrow will pick up out of the north. This is showing some wind speeds over 10 miles per hour, so enough of a breeze to add a chill. Certainly want to keep that light jacket nearby throughout the day and especially into the evening. But I want to show you this map. This is the daytime high temperatures. Now the average high is right around 76 degrees, so you can see the temperatures actually go above average again next week, the daytime temperatures. Now the mornings are still going to be chilly, but the afternoons will see highs in the 80s, and for this entire stretch right now it looks very dry. We're still watching a couple of waves out in the tropics. There's what's being labeled Invest 94L. It's out over the central Atlantic. That's expected to grow into a depression or possibly tropical storm Nadine as it moves to the west. Some data takes this, tries to recurve it to the north. Some data kind of keeps it to the south here, moving more towards Central America. We'll keep an eye on it, but at this point, I don't have a concern about this reaching our region. We'll watch it and always need to keep an eye on these systems out here, but at this point, if you have a trip planned for this weekend or the following weekend, I do not see that system being a major concern at this point, but check in for updates. But a very dry forecast as we look ahead through the weekend and the next week, Monday and Tuesday. See those highs around 80 degrees by Tuesday, and then notice low 80s there, so warmer afternoons as we go into the later part of next week. But a very dry forecast. It was a great day for weather in the classroom, and I want to share some video from some students out at Adamsville Elementary School, and had a chance to visit the second graders. Also had a chance to visit the third and fourth graders. They were there. That was Principal Mr. Bissell. I want to thank Mr. Bissell and also Miss Evans' class, and met Deputy Chancellor there. A lot of fun junior weather watchers, Tania. We had a wonderful time. We actually had a chance to sing some weather songs, and they did a great job with the Jetstream song and talking about weather safety. But we did talk about, severe weather safety. It's calm right now, but we all know November is right around the corner. So always best to be prepared, as we always say, but a fun time. And listen, you can set up a weather visit. Go to our website, WBRC.com, and look for Weather in the Classroom. And also, we want to see those color the weather photos as well.
We sure do. Yeah, we sure do, Wes. And I just want to give a shout out to EJ and the Kitchens family. Wes's mom sent me a picture of her son with you. So I got to show you that too. You visit his classrooms. That's so cool. I know they enjoyed themselves. Well, now we're going to head to Jones Valley Teaching Farm, where meteorologist Megan Thomas talks with farmer Jess about the myth of persimmon seeds. There you go. And what that could possibly mean for our winter this year.
The best part of this is the persimmon seed comes with a myth, right? As a meteorologist, our whole team, people find persimmons, they pop them open, and the seed inside can either be a knife or a spoon. Is that correct? Or a fork. Okay, so 3 different options, and you have some with us.
I do.
What do you have with us?
So our Asian persimmons do not have seeds, but the native persimmons do. And it is true, if you crack them open, there'll be 3 different shapes. And I cracked one open this morning.
Okay, drum roll, please. Cracked them open this morning, and what do we have here?
What do you see?
That is a spoon. That is a spoon, which means we will be quote unquote digging out of snow during the winter months. Now, I would have to do some digging to figure out the actual statistics on this to see, or is it just a fun myth?
I don't know. I always crack it open and see, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong.
So what does the spoon means you'll see snow? What do the knife and fork mean?
So a knife means that we're going to have really cold temperatures that cut like a knife, and the fork just means a mild winter.
Okay, well there we go. We've got spoons. Where'd you pick these from?
These came from our farm director's property.
So they're suggesting spoons this year. Okay, well that's the difference between the persimmons and the myth of the persimmon, and we love to see it. Hopefully won't be digging out of snow this year, right?
I'm hoping for snow.
Are you? But will that not kill the crops around here?
So some of our crops can withstand cooler temperatures, especially if you protect them with things like frost cloth. but it would, yes, kill some plants.
Okay, well,
But then you also get to sled.
you do. We live in Alabama and it doesn't happen that often. But yeah, so persimmon seeds, we love to see it. This year, the spoons, who knows? We'll be waiting to find out if there's going to be a lot of snow. Thanks, Farmer Jess. We'll send it back to you.